Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second Intact Insurance webinar of 2025, and of course the final one as we march towards the year end. So my name's Alan Houston. I'm responsible for our sales function within our commercial lines business here in the UK. Today's webinar will focus on our new product launches, which builds on some of the information that we shared for those of you that joined our last webinar, which was only 4 weeks ago, or indeed if you watched the playback which we published. So in terms of the content for this morning's webinar, I'll be joined by 3 of my colleagues. So Chris Bainbridge and Mike Goff. Chris and Mike are going to focus very much on our first of our eTrade product launches, both in property owners and shop. And then we'll hand over to Steve Scott, who obviously joined our last webinar to specifically talk about our regions combined product refresh as well. Now, it's a quick introduction from me this morning because we want to get into the content. Before I hand over to Chris to get us started, a little bit of a reminder that we covered off in the previous webinar, which is we will have an opportunity at the end for questions. So you should see in the screen in front of you a box, which is the Q&A box. Please pop your questions in there and we'll do our very best to get to them at the very end. Like last time, if we don't get to those questions, then we will be following up with any FAQ to make sure that those questions are answered, or indeed you have the opportunity to pick them up with your day-to-day Intact Insurance contact. So that's the scene set for me this morning. We're going to get into it. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Chris Bainbridge to get started on eTrade property owners.
Thanks very much, Alan. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Bainbridge, and I'm the eTrade Property Owners Product Manager. I'm really excited to talk to you today about our new Property Owners product. Before I do, I think it's worth a quick recap on some of the key points we touched on in our last webinar, as a reminder for those of you that were there and to set the scene for those that weren't. These 4 pillars shown on the slide are true across both eTrade products that we'll be discussing today. Firstly, both products have been built from the ground up, utilising the strong foundations and knowledge from our existing products and expertise. We've used market insights and real broker usage information to inform their design. We've introduced wider product appetite with higher limits and eligibility to benefit customers, resulting in both products receiving a 5-star rating from De Facto. We've enhanced our digital tools utilising third-party data, which has meant we can improve our underwriting capability without the need for additional questions. We've also introduced a refreshed and simplified document suite, which is now in the Acturis document library. So you'll be pleased to know that the separate policy wording URLs are a thing of the past. Risk management guides will also be provided with our new products to help your customers understand about managing their risks, which Mike will talk about in a bit more detail later on. We launched the new products on the Monday, the 1st of December, so hopefully you'll have all seen and had a chance to explore the benefits yourselves. As I'm sure you can imagine, we've been tracking the performance really closely, and I'm really pleased to say that the go live has been smooth and everything looks to be going as we expected. So a real success story and testament to everyone's hard work to get these over the line. Moving on to the next slide, I'll talk you through some of the key benefits of our new Property Owners product. We've detailed some of the limits on the slide, as you can see here. I won't talk through them all, but I'll give you a bit of a flavour and talk about some of the benefits and things which will hopefully be of interest. As you would expect, the product covers buildings and property owners' liability up to £10 million as standard, with a variety of optional covers available so it can be tailored to meet individual customer needs. This includes things like contents with an increased limit of £250,000 and loss of rent up to £2.5 million with a 36-month indemnity period. We can cover residential buildings up to £1.5 million, blocks of flats or mixed premises buildings up to £5 million, and commercial buildings up to £10 million. It's also worth mentioning that we can cover contents only for individual flats with loss of rent and property owners' liability. We're really keen to build our products in a way which gives you quick and instant decisions at the point of quote as much as possible. That being said, if you do have premises which exceed these limits, we are happy to consider them upon referral, keeping them within eTrade to keep things simple. So please do get in touch with us and we can discuss these. We can cover mixed portfolios, so where there is residential and commercial risk in the same property, and up to 25 premises per policy. We can cover multi-tenure, where there are up to 3 eligible trades per premises. For example, an industrial premises segregated into 3 separate units. We can now quote for 75% of commercial trades on Acturis, including some motor trades, ensuring our products are widely available for you. We now have a wider rule-based approach when it comes to construction, particularly for non-standard, non-combustible materials, such as fiberglass or non-combustible cladding, again, giving you greater clarity at the point of quote with instant decisions. Our product can also cater for houses of multiple occupancy, which, following feedback I've received, will hopefully help you out, as well as students who are residential occupants. We can also cater for an occupancy, where it's part of a wider portfolio on a 1 in 4 basis. As I mentioned, our build has been focused around simplicity, both for you and also for our customers. As a result, you can expect fewer referrals and more decisions at point of quote. We've standardized excesses for consistency and ease, and we will always quote for a day one uplift with a minimum of 15%, but you can choose up to 50%, giving peace of mind for customers and giving inflation protection throughout the policy period. So that's all I was going to run through today, but if you do have any questions, please do raise them and we'll come back to them at the end. I'll now hand over to Mike, who will talk to you about our shop product.
Thanks, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Goff, eTrade Growth Lead. Today, I'm introducing the updated Intact insurance product designed for retail businesses, beauty salons, hairdressers operating from up to 10 premises. So what cover is included as standard? Property damage with a capability to write up to £2.5 million per premises. Deterioration of stock with a 1,000 per unit with the option to increase to 15,000 per sum insured. Money cover with a £5,000 limit with the option to increase to 12,000. Transit cover for £2,500 per vehicle with the option to increase to £15,000 per vehicle, sum insured. Unspecified all risks at £2,500 with the option to specify up to £10,000. Business interruption is included as standard with £500,000 gross profit over 12 months, with the option to increase this to £3 million over 36 months. We also include loss of liquor licence at £100,000, employer's liability with a £10 million limit of indemnity, public and products liability with a £2 million limit of indemnity, with the option to increase this to £10 million. Treatment risks are included for hairdressers and beauty salons as standard, without the need to select each treatment your customer offers, with medical and invasive beauty treatments clearly excluded. Machinery breakdown is now included as standard as well. We also offer optional covers: tobacco, wines and spirits, loss of rent, fidelity cover, personal accident, terrorism, and legal expenses. Our target trades include hairdressers and beauty salons, cafes and coffee shops, convenience stores and grocers, takeaways including dark kitchens, charity and second-hand shops, and retailers operating from a domestic premises. As Chris touched on earlier, we've built our products on market research, competitor analysis, and real broker usage information. We've widened our eligibility, and we now accept 100% second-hand goods, manual work away for all eligible trades, 100% felt on timber roofs. We've removed the turnover and wage roll caps, and our trade appetite is broader than before. We've also enhanced our limits and cover. Wine, spirits and tobacco limits have been doubled to £100,000. We've also raised our limits for deterioration of stock, money and goods in transit. And even better, we've improved our excess terms. We've removed goods in transit and money excesses, simplifying claims and improving customer value. Risk management is a key part of our offering. All policyholders will have access to Risk Assist, our online risk management tool for health and safety, human resources, business continuity, and driving risks. This tool includes e-learning modules and Ask the Expert, providing access to a health and safety and human resource expert with guaranteed response within 24 hours, Monday to Friday. We also have trade-specific risk management guides available to download straight from Actress. This will be available for both products we have gone through today. The Intact Insurance Shop product offers outstanding value backed by the 5-star de facto rating. With wider product appetite, enhanced digital capability, and improved broker experience, we believe this product will meet your customers' needs and stand out in a competitive market. Thank you for your time. And finally, please share any feedback, positive and constructive, as we're always looking to improve via your usual Intact Insurance contact. Now I'll hand over to Steve Scott.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Chris. So December marks an important milestone for the regional business as we launch the revised and refreshed commercial combined product. This is the first of a suite of Intact insurance policies with all of our core products earmarked for a refresh across the next 12 months or so. Our approach has been to take the best of the RSA and NIG wordings, but then to compare the result against the best of what's available in the market and actually to improve on that. This, of course, is all supported by our expert regional teams and by our award-winning claims proposition. We've also been careful to make sure we're offering best value for our customers within the core product sections, while still being able to flex the inner limits to meet the more complex customers' needs. Next slide, please, Matt. The commercial combined product has a minimum premium of £2,500 without any cap on the number of UK locations. Typically, customer wage rolls should fall inside £100 million and turnovers within £250 million. Businesses that exceed these thresholds remain in appetite but need more consideration. As standard, we write up to EL up to 25 million sterling, the same as PL and products, although heat work away typically attracts a lower limit, but that would be as you would expect. USA exposures are still acceptable, although we limit to 40% of total annual turnover. Amongst other revisions, inadvertent omission to insure has doubled in limit to £1 million, and seasonal increase in stock is now included as standard, as is exhibition cover, which also extends to Europe. We've taken the opportunity to revise our standard BI extensions, and we've reviewed the standard limits. So expect to see contract sites, utilities, prevention of access, and unspecified customer locations. They all come with a generous £100,000 limit. Failure of supply, vermin, specified diseases, while they still attract a £25,000 limit. As you'd expect, we offer optional BI extensions extending to patterns and molds, research expenditure, molten metal, and loss of attraction, etc. Actually, it's worth saying no limit has reduced through the process, and you'll find all of the standard limits in the commercial combined area on the Intact Insurance website. Of course, the wording itself is only one part of the solution. We've been working hard to make sure the service we offer reduces friction by improving the speed, the quality, and also the consistency of our responses. Key to doing that was to empower our regional teams. So now 97% of decisions can be made locally without any referral at all. Our aim is to respond on a commercial combined inquiry within 24 hours of receipt. And because we know brokers want to access underwriters, we've updated our regional telephone numbers and our dedicated inboxes and our expectation of underwriters. So you should see far more of them in your local market. Across 2025, we've doubled the number of quotations issued on commercial combined, putting a premium on almost 40% of what we see. in 2026, our aim is to take that to 50% whilst remaining competitive. The wording and service proposition is, as ever, underpinned by the UK's leading commercial claims service. That service supported by the market-leading Claims Centre 10 cloud-enabled platform. This is all designed around supporting our brokers and our customers, as is the offer of a 24-hour claims helpline with QR code options to speed access and provide support. That is in addition to the customer advice lines we provide, which gives you and your customer access to our in-house teams of risk consultants, loss adjusters, and engineering breakdown specialists. And I guess to validate the importance of that, the latest broker voice survey tells us that 91% of those surveyed agree it's easy to make a claim with Intact Insurance, and 98% say we provide the expertise needed to resolve claims both smoothly and successfully. I guess I'd conclude with a reminder that where a risk has overseas exposure, our regional teams work hand in hand with Intact's global network, through which we can access more than 140 territories worldwide, providing solutions at both new business or as a business expands beyond the UK. Across 2025, we've provided solutions for some of the UK's largest retailers and manufacturers by harnessing the strengths of the wider Intact group. I think at that, I'll hand back to Alan, who'll host the Q&A.
Super. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Chris, for walking us through the content this morning. So we've got about a little over 10 minutes for questions. I'm going to invite the three guys, Mike, Chris and Steve, back on camera now, and we'll get into some of those questions. What I would say as well is that there are a lot of questions that have came through this morning, which is awesome. I think what we will do is we'll get to some of the kind of themes this morning live, but then what we will do at the same time is we'll be following up both with a pre-recording or the recording of this morning's webinar, but an option or an opportunity, one, for you to read the FAQ, but second, also to ask any further questions that you may have as well. There is quite a lot of kind of technical questions, etc. So with that in mind, then I think, Chris, if you don't mind, can I come to you first in terms of the questions? Just checking you're with us, you're back on camera. So yeah, there's quite a few questions in terms of acceptability, etc. But before we get into that, let me just look. So in terms of inquiries and kind of our quote and conversion rates, then, so how many inquiries do you give up front where we give an upfront decision on with property owners?
Yeah, so one of the objectives was to make sure we provide a decision at point of quote wherever possible. And with our new products, we do this about 98% of the time. Saying that, I mentioned earlier that obviously we do have upper limits. You can refer if it goes higher than those limits. Just to give an example, within our first week of trading, we did have one that came in for a residential premises. The limit's 1.5 million, but we did have one come in that was higher than that. And we got that in front of underwriters, and we were able to quote and write that risk straight away in a really sort of quick response. So just say, yeah, 98% should get an instant decision, but we are open to trade, and we're looking to write business rather than decline it. So yeah, do get in touch.
Super. Thanks, Chris. I'm going to stick with you 1 second, then Mike, just as a heads up, I'll jump to you. So as I said, Chris, there's a few questions come through in terms of risk acceptability. Could you just touch on risk acceptability from a blocks of flats perspective? And there's also a question around motor trades. What motor trades would you deem acceptable in property owners? Can you maybe pick up both of those in one?
Yeah, sure. I can cover both those off. So just touched on the blocks of flats one. So you can cover off flats and sort of other buildings where there's multiple stories as well. So we're happy to accept properties up to 3 stories high without any referral, and that includes where there's cladding. It differs slightly where there's 4 or more stories. So for flats, we can write those up to 1 million declared value. And for properties, and for other properties, non-flats, we can write those up to 2.5 million declared value. And for the motor trade one, absolutely. So we are happy with most motor trades. To be honest, there's just a couple of exceptions to that, mainly tyre fitters and things like laser car washes. But other than that, you should be able to find appetite with us.
Super. I'm sure I'll come back to you, Chris, just giving you the heads up. Mike, if I can turn to you then on shops. Mm-hmm. So do you accept shops that operate more than one trade from the business premises?
Absolutely. So this is one that I was quite passionate about as the product owner. Obviously, businesses are always looking at ways of generating more income, and we appreciate that many of our clients will then kind of diversify. In Acturus, it doesn't support selecting more than one trade at a premises, but if you select the most generating the biggest income, select that and then refer it into our underwriters, and we'll be able to give you a quote. In addition to that, when the hub goes live to the extranet in the new year, you will be able to select more than one trade.
Super. And just sticking with you, but it's not really specific to shops. It's probably more of a general question that's came in, Mike. And actually, we had a question along a similar theme 4 weeks ago in the previous webinar, which is, we've obviously touched on Acturus a bit this morning, but is the position the same on RSA online? So quite an open question, but can you comment on that?
Yeah, so at the moment, so RSA Online and the NIG Hub are still operating until we have gone live on the 2 products that we're talking about today, tradespeople, officers, and business combined. Once all of those goes live in next year, the extranet will go live and it'll have exactly the same appetite, and that should be happening in the new year.
Super. Okay, well, like Chris, I might come back to you, Mike, in a minute or two, but I'm going to turn it over to Steve Scott now. So, Steve, question. So, regional products, obviously, you focused on combined this morning in the refresh. So, how do regional insurance products cater to the specific needs of businesses in different geographical areas?
Oh wow, that's quite wide. Let me just break that question into 2 parts. So obviously you've heard from my eTrade colleagues there. Blocks of flats, obviously there are some limits in terms of height and construction there, but I just want to say to people, we do write blocks of flats in the residential property owners space, so in a regional context. Motor trade, we heard what Mike said about motor trade. Tyre fitters are actually core in a regional context, providing that they have premises. And we've heard Michael talk about tradespeople, and of course, in a regional context, we write annual contractors policies, but we also write single project construction and properties undergoing refurbishment. So I think, Alan, what I'm saying there is, we have a very wide product set in the region, but it is all designed to pick up when the inner limits of the eTrade policies are too restrictive for the customer at hand. Second part of the question was about territories. Well, so obviously we write UK domicile, but that extends to incidental overseas, where I think in my piece I mentioned our access to Intact Global Network. Actually, interestingly, what people don't realize is our global network actually caters for some of the other larger insurers in the UK who don't have international experience or representation. But of course, we also have global trading capability in SL. Again, my colleagues talked about shops, whether that is appetite or limits. But again, in my piece, I referenced we've picked up 3 of the UK's largest retailers this year. These are businesses with multiple, and when I say multiple, I'm talking up to hundreds of locations across the UK. And one of those specifically had got international supply chain. And we've picked those up this year. So what I think I'm bringing to light, I hope I'm bringing to life anyway, is the fact once you exceed our eTrade limits, we have capability and really strong capability in a regional context, which does extend all the way into our global business.
And actually, on that point, Steve, that's, I guess, just a recap for the many in the audience this morning. What we're trying to get to as being Intact Insurance is a seamless proposition right across, whether it's micro SME, what we call traded SME at the very lower end, the regions business which you run, right up to our multinational business and specialty lines. So that is our ambition to get to that point. But we recognise we've got some work to do, but we will get there.
And just to conclude on that, I think we are closer to being the fully finished article than people might imagine.
Agree.
With the advent of Intact buying the RSA business and including the RSA Global Network and the NIG business, we are far closer to having an offering from everybody from that single employee tradesman all the way through to, as I've already described, multinational risk. Yeah.
Super. Thank you, Steve. I think you're off the hook. I'm going to come back to a couple of quick fire questions for Chris, then Mike, and then we'll conclude because we're getting quite close to 11:15. We will wrap up. So coming back to Chris. So on property owners. So does the cover differ from NIG's eTrade property owners product?
It does, yes. But what I would say is what we've done with our new products is we've taken the best bits of the NIG product, the best bits of the RSA product, and amalgamated them into an all-encompassing, strong product offering going forward.
Yeah. And on that, I guess for the benefit of the audience, that is our approach across our full product suite as we relaunch. So it's taking about the best bits of both, but also in addition to any kind of enhancements that we've made. So super, thank you, Chris. And then Mike, turning over to you on shop. It builds on a little bit of a previous question actually. So on shops, you mentioned takeaway. What trade would this be under Acturus? Are you able to comment on that?
Yeah, I think there's several takeaway trades in Acturus. So you've got as basic as a fish and chip shop, and then you've got a full list of takeaway retailers. So you can, and I think you can select kind of like Chinese and things like that. So yeah, there's quite a number in the list that you can select from.
Super. Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Steve, for walking us through the content and getting involved in the questions this morning. Just as we conclude, I'm going to go back to the questions first of all, actually, because it might possibly be record-breaking number of questions that we've had this morning, quite a lot of technical ones. So we are going to make sure that we'll do that follow-up. As I said, we will be sharing a link to the recording from this morning. We will be sharing an FAQ, but we will also be, as part of that, giving you the opportunity to ask any follow-up questions as well. So please watch out for that information coming through. And I guess just recapping on what I said 4 weeks ago in the last webinar, we are absolutely determined to deliver the things that make the or offer the most benefit to you, right? We are very, very focused on that. Some of the content that you've heard this morning points absolutely to that. It all centres around the service that we provide you, whether it's in our regions business, in our eTrade business, specialty lines, and so on. So please, 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 in addition to those questions that you have asked, please keep the feedback coming. There is some feedback that's came through in the questions this morning. We will absolutely follow up on that with you individually. As I also said the last time, we don't take your time for granted. We appreciate this is 30 minutes out of your diary this morning, but we really, really do appreciate it. And on that note, we are a few days away from properly getting into Christmas now. So please enjoy your Christmas with your families. Please take the time to reset, and we really appreciate your business, and we look forward to doing even more as in 2026. Thank you very much.